Hello friends, Jenkins Dota here, bringing you another Dota 2 video on behalf of DotaAlchemy.com, and this is going to be a video in which I explain what I did to calibrate to rank 48 on the US East leaderboards. So to prove that this isn't bullshit, my rank is here, 48, and you can see that my pro info over here on the left says fart Jenkins Dota Alchemy. You don't even need to read the Jenkins part. I really think that I'm the only person that would put fart in their pro info, so that kind of proves it right there. And before I get into it, I want to say that the things that I'm about to list are things that I know friends that are also high-rated players, things that they didn't do when they were calibrating, and they might have went 5-5. They might have lost more than they won in terms of calibration, and I think it's because they didn't go the extra mile in terms of trying to win those calibration games. Because really, you can put 100% of your effort into those, and it's worth it because they count for hundreds of MMR each. So without further ado, let's just get right into it then. So the first thing that I did differently during my 10 calibration matches that I know other people didn't do, and it's also something that most people are uncomfortable doing in general, including me, is that I tried really hard during the picking phase. And by that, I mean I didn't pick heroes that I necessarily thought were fun. I wasn't playing Dota for fun. I didn't first pick my hero because I had an ego and it's like, oh, I can win the game anyway. I picked basically the best hero possible in the best position possible. Even if that means last picking like a Huskar or a Meepo or a Broodmother, it doesn't matter. Calibration games are worth so much that it's worth it to do that. But then also, this is the part where I think people are uncomfortable. I captained my team and I tried to get my team to pick certain heroes. Rather than just picking whatever hero they were highlighting, I would suggest to people using the alt-clicking method. I would just spam alt-click, suggest something, and suggest things I thought were really good with the current heroes and against their heroes. So for instance, in this game, the Windranger, I was suggesting this guy was highlighting a bunch of heroes, and I saw that he highlighted Windranger as I was suggesting other things. And I basically saw that, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get this guy to pick Windranger because this is a really good hero. I'm seeing it picked a lot in the Super Major, which, by the way, is where I'm picking up all of my kind of current drafting knowledge. It's just by watching that, listening to the casters, they'll say this hero is good for this reason. You just kind of pick up on it, and you can do that in pubs. But so this guy highlighted Windranger, so I basically spam suggested that. I was like, pick Windranger, I'll pick Axe, we'll just crush the lane. And I hate to say force positivity because I know people are like, oh, PMA, ha ha ha. But really there is a level of positivity that you need to have when you're communicating with people in that way, because otherwise people can get defensive, and it kind of seems like you're insulting somebody's intelligence or Dota skill by being like, you have to pick this hero. It's almost like, oh, you're not good enough to win with another hero, pick this OP thing. So I was also trying to like kind of hype people up by being like, okay, you pick this, we'll crush, all we need to do is harass. And during the picking phase, I was saying exactly what I thought we needed to do in the lane. And then also in this game, I was telling this guy to pick the Bloodseeker because watching the Super Major, I learned that Bloodseeker is really good with these harass heroes, especially with these dual offlane harass lanes, which Axe and Windranger is a great one of those. So I was like, okay, two birds, one stone. Get this guy to pick Bloodseeker, we'll win the safe lane because he's so good when you have a harass lane like this. And then, we have this dual off lane that's crushing down here. And so this game went really well in terms of the picks, and really that's all I needed. The other players were already highlighting stuff that was really good that I've been seeing in the Super Major, and that is okay. But if they weren't, I would be doing the exact same method where I'm suggesting things to them. And then if I see that they focus on a particular hero that I suggested, really suggest that one, because of course you want to get people to play things that they're comfortable with, and then also heroes that are really good in the current meta. One other thing in terms of drafting and getting my team to pick things is that I've been trying to understand by listening to the casters and just by watching a lot of games in the Super Major. I've been trying to understand why certain matchups are good against certain things. So for instance, like I said, the Bloodseeker. I know that the Bloodseeker is really good because of these kind of harassing off lanes, and he's also good against Pangolier. So just being able to influence those two picks, it's enough to drive my win percentage way higher than it would have been otherwise if I had just let things slide and let people pick what they want. Another thing that I did differently in my calibration games is that I tried to captain my team as absolutely hard as possible, and it's really embarrassing and it kind of sucks to do it because a lot of the time people will tell you to shut the fuck up, stop using your microphone. Sometimes you'll screw up and get your whole team killed, but at the very least I was trying to communicate with my team where I was going, why I was going there, trying to get people to help me out in my ganks. If you know, for instance, for this gank, I told Sand King to TP bottom. I was like, okay, we can kill all of them. We have the Sand King Leshrac combo. It ended up working out beautifully, and that wouldn't have happened if I was just playing the kind of solo game of Dota where it's like, okay, I'm not going to speak, I'm just going to play my hero, whatever happens, happens, I'm going to try to solo carry. I was not trying to do that in these calibration games, and I know it's really, really mentally exhausting, and I honestly wouldn't suggest doing this in every one of your solo games, because honestly, if you were to do this, you'd be mentally drained so damn quickly. But try as hard as you can to communicate with your team via voice, via your mic, as much as possible. Even if people tell you to shut the fuck up and they bitch at you, it doesn't matter. Really, the best way to communicate in Dota is through voice, and it's a team game. So if you communicate, even if you're communicating relatively poorly, chances are a lot of people on the enemy team aren't doing that, because a lot of people just aren't comfortable doing that. A lot of people just type, a lot of people just play their own game, and you'll have a higher chance of winning than the enemy team, even if you just do it and don't do it extremely well. As long as you're communicating, okay, I'm going here. So for instance, I communicate to BSJ, I'm going top, and he starts hitting the Bloodseeker. All of a sudden, we're getting way more harass done. He starts communicating to me. It kind of it opens up the whole flow in your team, makes them all feel comfortable with kind of playing the serious sort of play style. And I think, honestly, to go back to the kind of PMA thing, I know it's kind of a meme, but it actually hypes people up to have somebody who's trying really, really hard on their team. A lot of people will want to win more because you want to win. So it's good for a lot of reasons, and I would definitely highly suggest doing it. The last thing that I want to talk about in this video that I think I did differently was that I took a break every time I lost in one of my calibration games. And a lot of people are saying that you should do this, mostly because you shouldn't play all of your games in one day, since it takes a lot of mental effort to play Dota. And I completely agree with what people are saying. You know, Sir Action Slack said it, Donnie said it, a lot of really good people are saying, you know, don't play all your games in one day, you're going to lose, everybody's playing core, etc. There's all of these other reasons, but and I do agree with all of them, but the reason I wanted to put this in here was actually for a different reason altogether. Basically, my logic is that if there are players that I'm losing with, then chances are I have a higher chance of losing with that particular group of players. Even if I re-queue and I get different players on my team, maybe that's just a player pool that I'm not great in. Maybe there's a player pool that has really good safe laners and they're just completely crushing me and I don't want to play against them. So why even risk it? It might be bullshit. Obviously, there's a lot of other good reasons to take a break, but that was kind of my logic behind it. And the higher rated you are, the more of a real factor this will be. Sometimes you'll get in a group that might have feeders. Sometimes you'll get in a group that has really good mid players or only offlaners. There's a lot of potential things that could get screwed up if you're just queuing into the same group. So I would basically just say to not risk any of those things happening. If you lose, just take a break. You don't have to take a break for the day. If you want to queue all of your calibration matches at the same time, go for it. Just make sure that you're taking a break after you lose, at least for a little while.